sky, isn't it?
Okay, let me just say something. Man United have been above and beyond commercially every single Premier League club for the last 30 years because they started this before anyone else. So they started to globalize their brand before anyone else. When it comes to Manchester United has made less revenue than Manchester City.
Yeah.
Global revenue, commercial revenue, which it just doesn't like the clubs that are supposed to make more money than Man United are Barcelona, are Real Madrid. You know, Liverpool on a good year, like if we get to the final of the Champions League or something. But when it comes to City are not making them global revenues. And we saw it this summer when you went to Japan. There were 5 people in the stadium. And I'm supposed to believe you made more commercial revenue. Come on, man.
Terrace, listen, I'm all for talking, right, to anyone. But he's a knobhead. And that's it. Simple as that. You're a clown. If you show me a video now where there's 5 people in the stadium and I'll show you one when there was 50, 60,000. Don't try and troll me, mate. I go week in, week out. I know my football club. You can sit there and make shit up all you want. But I'm telling you, listen, you can make shit up all you want. But I've got better things to do with time and listen to you talking shit,
about
mate.
The Etihad. I said Japan.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, you didn't at all, because I worked for City when on the live streams in Tokyo, mate. I worked for them. I was live in the stadium, in the studio, and there was 60, 70,000 there. So don't talk shit to me, because I seen it with my own eyes. That is why I call it out. If you've got a valid fact, then I'll listen to it. If you've got a good point and evidence, then I'll listen to it. But don't make things up comments, because the comments are saying, go and cook him, Husam. You're just telling lies, mate. I'm not interested in lies.
I'm not reading the comments.
Guys, let me just jump in a second, because I want to go back to the original question, which was around, if these things are to be true, what could this do to Pep Guardiola? And Steve and I obviously were talking about when your internet went down. And look, again, if both clubs are proven to be innocent and there's no wrongdoing, then they're innocent and there's nothing to talk about. I feel a bit sorry for Pep in this scenario. I feel a bit sorry for him that both clubs have clearly been doing something that has got, whether it be journalists, whether it be the police in Barcelona's case, of course, their FAs, UEFA, all involved in looking at them. It's a shame for him, because if either club are found guilty, it will damage his legacy. And I've seen people in the comments, and there's a super chat that came through here that said, you can't strip fans of their memories. Pep's the GOAT. I hear that. And I'm not sitting here and saying you shouldn't remember those great days. But from Pep's point of view, if we just remove City, because City fans will be emotive about it, if he finds out that in the La Ligas he won, just think about Pep, who I think is an honourable man. If he finds out, like with the rest of us, that they were paying referees to ensure they won games, Pep will hand these medals back. Pep won't want medals that he didn't deserve to win.
And what about Messi? What about Messi?
No, I agree. Listen, if it turns out Barca have done this, the Messi-Ronaldo debate takes an almighty turn in another direction, because I went and looked earlier, because I just went to look at this, and I thought this was such an interesting case, and I wrote the numbers down here. Barcelona beat Real Madrid in that time period. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. They beat them to 8 La Ligas, which Messi was part of. Now, I'm not saying they didn't deserve to win any of those 8, but if there's a few of them that are really close and you have to go back and look at them, there's loads of ramifications. And this is why I said when your allegations came out, a group of people I feel sorry for in this are Man City fans. Although you never take those memories.
Don't have to feel sorry for us. When the evidence is out and the days in court, feel sorry for the people who are clinging on now to the hope and praying to God every day that Man City are found guilty. They're the ones you ought to be feeling sorry for. Because if it comes out not guilty, then it really shows how bad their teams really are and how good Man City is.
I understand that. But for me, I'll tell you this. I'm not hoping City are guilty any more than I'm hoping that they're innocent. That the Man United fan in me is that the football person in me wants the truth to come out. The football person in me wants to know if we're all on a level playing field. Now, we can argue till the cows come home whether FFP is a good or a bad rule. At the end of the day, all of our clubs every season sign an agreement to say we'll comply with those rules. If you then go and break them, your excuse can't be, well, I think it's a shit rule. The same with Barcelona. If they're innocent, fair play to them. I'm not going to call them cheats when they're not. At the same time, though, and look, I've said this before, all their success domestically has also led to their European success. All the wins, all the La Ligas mean bigger sponsorship deals, which means more money, which means they build better teams that have beaten my club twice to a Champions League, beaten Arsenal once, beaten Juve once. And I just want, as a fan, answers. And my biggest fear is of corruption. If the corruption exists is a corruption at a higher level where these things are going to be brushed under a table, because I want there to be a level playing field. City are an impeccably well-run football club. I always praise them. I never call Pep Guardiola checkbook manager or anything along those lines, because I think it's disrespectful. At the same time, I think every City fan, every Barca fan, and everyone who backs Messi and Pep and everybody else should want to know whether they have won those trophies, had that success based on honest hard work, or whether their club behind the scenes have been breaking rules, financially doping, paying referees off, match fixing. Surely everybody should just want the truth. And I hear you, Steve. Some people say 100% you're guilty without knowing, and nobody knows that yet. But for me, I worry about, the reason I worry about it is if we take City and Barca out of it, look what we've witnessed Pep Guardiola do. Me as a football fan, I would still feel cheated if suddenly that was all marred by cheating. It's the same as when you might have an athlete that, imagine if it turned out Usain Bolt was on drugs the whole time. Even though I'm not Jamaican, I'd still feel disappointed because I love watching that guy. There might be a boxer. You know, if it turned out that Lennox Lewis was on drugs his whole career, I'd feel gutted. Even though, well, he did represent Britain, even though he was Canadian. I think for me, that's the element for me that I'm more concerned about, if that makes sense.
No, listen, like I said before, nobody's got the evidence. We don't know. I think why we can speculate about it all we want, but we haven't got the evidence. So people saying you should say this and you should say, why am I going to say anything about anything I don't know about? I only stick to things I know about. I don't tell lies. I don't want to say anything on here for a reaction in the chat. I don't do that. So when I find out the facts, if Manchester City are found guilty, the first person that will be on this show, right, upset about it will be me. Because I spend 90% of my life around this football club, right? So I will be the one upset. I will be the one that feels cheated. And I will be the one wanting to know what's going on, right? So let's not sugarcoat it. But at the minute, tell me anyone that would stand on here without any evidence and condemn their football club. You wouldn't do that, right? Yeah. And people that condemn Pep Guardiola and all that. Pep Guardiola is a manager. He's not in the boardroom. He's not aware of what's going on. So if people have been doing that at Barcelona, there'll be nobody more fuming than Pep. Because like you say, people will then have that to go at him and say, oh, you only won this game because of that and all that. I get that. But at the end of the day, we don't know the evidence. And we've seen it before. These things coming out now about teams doing certain things and that, they all get swept away. How much of it is true? We don't know. So it is what it is.
This is the issue in this debate for me. You're personalizing it like I'm insulting you. I'm not insulting you. I'm talking about Man City, the institution. And when I look at Man City,
if you want to talk about City as an institution, I can talk to you about that, right? But don't try and rev it all up like it's made on this platform of money, because it had to be made on money because we were nowhere near the top.
Oh, you agree then? So I don't get the problem. I don't get the problem. So what am I saying that's crazy then?
You were saying we're a small club with no history and all that. I already proved the history lesson last time we was on, but you don't want to talk about that. When I mentioned history, you don't want to talk about that.
Last time everyone agreed. I won that debate.
No. Listen.
Do you want me to ask you the question again?
Okay. Listen, mate. Listen.
Do you agree that you won the jackpot?
Listen, I'm a 42-year-old man. I don't do who won this debate and who won that. I don't give a shit. You won the debate. Great.
Yes,
I don't care.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying is, you're talking nonsense. You're not talking facts. Talk facts.
I'm really not.
Listen, I'll tell you, here's a fact.
You're looking at me.
Very jealous
You're looking
man.
at me as a Liverpool fan.
You're
listening to what I'm saying. Okay, hear me out. Okay, it's just listen. There is not. What's the difference between you and a million City fans? You all say I'm jealous. Like, okay, I'm jealous. Happy?
You are.
Does that? Okay, I'm glad. Does that make you happy now? It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. If you've already agreed that you've hit the jackpot and you've already agreed that the foundations was built on money, then you cannot say anything I'm saying is crazy, because we are in agreement then. Because all we're saying is, at said moment in time in 2008, he could have bought any other club. He decided to buy Manchester City. Fair enough. We're giving him credit for the stadium. We're giving
money well spent.
No problem. We're giving him credit for the stadium. We're giving him credit for the money spent, all of that. But that's what he's done. He's the foundation of it, and that's what we're talking about. And we're talking about the foundation of it. The foundation of it is built on money. And that's the ultimate reality, whether people like it or not. And it could have been any other club. And Manchester City before the money wasn't a big club. That's just the reality. And people could get upset. People will be mad at me because I'm the one saying it. But there's nothing I'm saying that's wrong or incorrect. Man City were a small club before the money, and that's just factual. And when you look at the revenues, and that's the thing that I've been trying to explain.
Not small
when you look
anymore.
at the revenues, Manchester City commercially.
Anymore.
Okay, let me speak. Manchester City commercially cannot equalize Man United and Real Madrid and Barcelona in the period of 10 years, just with basic financing. This is just basic finances. I don't have to go deep into it and start bringing out numbers and Excel sheets and spreadsheets. If someone's been marketing themselves for the last 3 years, no one can in a period of 10 years overtake them. That's the problem.
Wait till you see this year's accounts. Wait till you see this year's accounts.
Let me finish. COVID season, where like 99% of every single bro. COVID season, 99% of the clubs.
Who gives a fuck about the COVID season? What are you talking about? Who cares?
So you ask
for
evidence.
What are you talking about, mate? The COVID season. Who cares? We're all sat in our bedroom with masks on. You sat with your underpants on in Jordan, mate. No one gives a shit.
And so what does that have to do with anything? Does that?
So you're asking for
evidence. So you're asking for evidence, and when I'm attempting to give you evidence, you're upset. So anyway, let me finish now. When it comes to the COVID season, 99% of the clubs in world football announced that they made a loss that year. And then City comes out, oh, we've made 100 million in revenue. I'm supposed to believe that? I'm supposed to believe in a year in which there were literally no fans in the stadium and it was COVID worldwide. Somehow City made profits. Somehow City made revenue. But it's crazy for me to go like, whoa, that's sketchy. That's wild for me to say that. Apparently, in some sort of way.
We made dough, like we've made more dough this year. 700 million coming out. You know what I mean? 14 football clubs worldwide. The City Group, 400 million in academy sales. We didn't even have to hack a scouting system and get found guilty of that.
We paid the money.
We're going to do some super chats now.